Welcome back to Brews&Boxing, episode 4. Filthy Rich, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well, man. How are you?
Great. 1 whole month of doing this show.
Man, it's like a milestone.
Yeah, 1 month anniversary.
I can't believe you've put up with me this long, and I'm the same.
Well, it's quite the opposite. I can't believe you have put up with me this long, you know. But it's always a good time hanging with you, Filthy Rich. I get to do it a couple times a week now. We have a second show, the unanimous decision show. I don't know if you guys got to check that out with our friend Judge Jimmy James. He graded our Filthy 5, and I happened to win last week, but you got your revenge on him in the Tyson or Trump game, and he has to drink the Tecate that I picked up for him this week. Got him the Tecate Titanium, which, oof.
Let me tell you, I hope he's been drinking before he has to drink that Tecate. That's the only way that thing's going to go down.
Oof, oof, oof. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us for our 1 month anniversary here. And not only that, we hit 100 subscribers this week, Filthy Rich, which means tomorrow I get to apply for our custom URL. So this channel will be at youtube.com/RaiderLive. I assume that URL is going to be available. I don't think there's any other Raider Lives out there. So that sounds good. We hit the milestone. Last I checked, we were at 101, I think, today.
I think it is 101, maybe 103, but 101 actually does sound right. You're a rock star.
Well, thank you. Thanks to everyone for subscribing, telling your friends about it, checking the shows out. And not only that, joining me for trivia, live trivia on Saturdays, always fun. Filthy Rich sometimes makes an appearance in the chat room. You can throw your questions at him in there if you want during the show if you want, or, you know, just play trivia. That's what it's all about. It's about having a good time.
I can't do that trivia. That is too hard. I get frustrated and angry. I have to leave the room. But the people who I know play it love it. So thanks for doing that.
Oh, no problem. They saw that Ryan Hype built me that custom jacket for it this last week too. It just looks really cool. So thank you again for that. And thanks for everyone for joining us and making us 100 deep. Once you're at 100, they tell me that's when you start taking off, you know. So hopefully we'll be up to 1,000 before too long, then 10,000, and hell, we'll be up to 1 million before you know it, you know?
Hey, have Ryan make a little boxing jacket for me. Say, hook me up. Get the plugs for me.
There you go. There you go. Well, let's just jump right into Brews and News there. Richie, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's go.
Right. Ring the bell. All right, our first Brews and News. Well, first, whoa, slow down here. You'd think a month in I would know this by now, but Brews and News, got to crack a brew.
I'm ready, man.
Cheers, brother. Also, you notice I did some editing work. If you watch the unanimous decision show, I learned how to do all that. So this episode should be edited a lot better. So make sure you tell your friends about it. It should look a lot better too. So our first bit of news is Floyd Mayweather. We touched on him last week. Is he gonna come back and fight? Apparently, he wants to come back as a trainer. Any thoughts on that, Filthy Rich?
You know, it's hard to really trust Floyd, but I think at the end of the day, the dollar speaks the most. Personally, I think Floyd is trying to protect his own 50-0, 51-0, whatever it may be. I think he does not want anyone to surpass that mark.
Right.
So to be trained by Floyd, you wonder if he has your best interests in mind. Do I think he would make a good trainer? Yes. I think he's an old guy now, very disciplined. He knows the fight game. He would be a great trainer. I just wonder if he's going to put his fighters in situations where they cannot win.
Well, the one thing I think, first off, thinking about it is, you know, that family's got a pedigree of good trainers. You know, Floyd Mayweather Sr. was his trainer, trained Junior. He was still internet fighting. He fought that internet troll a couple of years back, and he still looked like he could get in there and roll for a 70-year-old guy. He still had some moves. He's still a defensive fighter. The one thing I worry about it, though, when I was thinking about it, I was reading the articles about it, and the guy brought it up. I can't remember. I think it was the ESPN article brought it up. He's like, how's Mayweather going to get used to losing? Because you're not in there yourself. Is he going to be able to handle a loss from one of his fighters? Is he going to be able to spotlight his fighters, or is the spotlight just going to be on him in the corner each time? You know?
Well, you know, I even think back to the fight with Bedu Jack. money team individual. And when he got, I believe it was a draw. It was a draw or a loss. And Badu Jack is getting tired of these draws and losses when he should be winning.
Mm.
And Floyd does do a good job at defending his fighters on any kind of controversial decision. I think if there is a mouthpiece I want in my corner, it would be Floyd Mayweather, because you hurt my pockets, you're hurting Floyd's pockets, and Floyd's not going to let that happen.
Right.
So he has no filter. He will say what is on his mind, and he will pay the fine if he does get fined for criticizing judges or whatever it may be.
Well, not only that, but it might have the Oscar De La Hoya effect on the judges too, where you get some really bad judging for Floyd's guys too. I mean, because money pays for it all. I mean, that's what it is.
The man stays in Vegas. I can't imagine him taking any fighters over to Brooklyn or to Staples. I think he's going to just stay in Vegas where he is comfortable and keep his fighters comfortable. Even Gervonta Davis, someone like that. That whole money team is just going to flourish in Vegas.
They might just rename the MGM the Mayweather, and just have all his fighters come there.
Let's hope not.
Well, one other bit of news that is trainer related, and I didn't understand why this was news, but any chance I get to bash Canelo, I'll take. On ESPN, they had Canelo's trainer says that Canelo would knock out Triple G in the third fight if they have a third fight, which they are going to have a third fight. I mean, it's pretty obvious they are going to have a third fight. But Triple G has never been knocked down in his career, as far as I know. I mean, that's correct, right? He's never been knocked down.
I don't think he's ever been knocked down. I feel like the age of 12 comes to mind about something. Maybe I don't know.
I think that was a slip.
Let's call it what it is. It was a slip. I don't think there's any footage of him being knocked down. But what happens in sparring, stays in sparring. There's been a lot of sparring stories out there. Not once have I ever heard of Golovkin being knocked down in sparring.
No.
As far as knocking Golovkin out, keep in mind, he is not a sloppy fighter. He's been a very disciplined fighter his entire career. I feel if Jonathan Banks, his new trainer, does what he's supposed to do, Golovkin he's playing defense now. So if you wanted to knock him out, your opportunity is probably gone. So this is all talk. This is a way to hype up a fight.
Right.
And with all these, not all these trilogies, but Wilder and Fury, I don't think anyone wants to see that. But this Golovkin-Canelo fight, take my money. Let's keep it simple. Take my money.
Yeah, I mean, that was the super fight that I wanted during the first one. I remember being so fired up when they announced it, and we had a giant party for it. Remember, we had a good time, and didn't have a good time when they called it a draw because Golovkin won that fight. And then I was still excited for the second one because I felt like Golovkin would get his revenge. But, for some reason, Golovkin doesn't want to hit the body of Canelo Alvarez. And I don't know why that is. I mean, that used to be one of his staples. Now he doesn't do it. And, yeah, I don't see how he's going to get knocked out. I mean, the only one that talk about sparring is Amir Khan. Didn't Amir Khan say he's like the greatest sparring champion of all time or something like that? Didn't he say knock down somebody in sparring? I can't remember. We were talking about it last night. I can't remember who it was. But plus we have to drop Amir Khan whenever we can. But yeah, I just don't see it happening. I don't. I'm gonna buy the fight. Obviously, I'm gonna watch it. Hopefully, we can watch it together. Hopefully, that'll be a time when we can watch it together. And yeah, it's just looks like it's gonna be another 12-round decision that'll go to Canelo. Basically,
we should do a live show. Maybe not a live show, but do a show after that fight.
Yeah.
Get a Saturday night little show going down.
Yeah, I like that idea of having just a live stream of us watching the fight. We can avoid copyright laws by not having the fight, but you can watch it with us as we're talking about it.
The
and you get
copyright laws. You're
that's
one
right. But
step
you
ahead
get
of the
Filthy
game.
Rich's live knowledge about the fight.
You
That'd
you
be something that you usually have to pay for. So,
you and that URL of yours.
hey, once you get big time, we're at 100 subscribers now. We're big time. We have to, have to
We're
watch
big
those. We may
time.
have to get a lawyer here soon. You never
You're
know.
big time. I'm just in your shadow, and I'm glad to be there.
Well, I don't throw out a very big shadow, so you're gonna have to hide in there a little bit. All right. Well, I actually with quarantine, I'm throwing a bigger shadow than I used to. I'll tell you that right now.
Hear that?
All right, look, you done with the news there?
Yeah, let's. I'm ready to rock. Let's move on.
All right, I felt like we covered that pretty good. Let's go to the Filthy Five this week. Let's ring the bell. All right, Filthy Five this week. We're doing light heavyweights, and if you watched the unanimous decision show, Judge Jimmy James, he told you to watch Better Bia versus Vosdick. I watched that fight again just because that fight is an awesome fight. I have a feeling they're both probably going to come up in our top fives at some point, or at least one of them, maybe both of them, probably both.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I hope you guys watch that fight. It's a good show of how good some of these heavyweights are. I mean, those were two of the best ones that had a fight, and they came right out and said, we don't care about dodging each other. Let's go out there and settle it. They're both undefeated fighters. Seemed like a lot of fun to watch, and it was a lot of fun to watch. All right, well, you want to start with your number five?
And number five, I have, before we move into number five, I do want to say I omitted Andre Ward from this list because he is retired. Andre Ward is back in the ring. I have a new list, but we're assuming right now Andre Ward is retired. He hasn't fought in, 3 years or so. Right. There's probably some other guys. Someone like Gilberto Ramirez is listed as a light heavyweight, but I still consider him a super middleweight. So I've omitted him from this list. I'm not saying necessarily he'd be on this list, but I do want to start off with that, letting you know that my mind isn't gone elsewhere. But my number five guy is Eleider Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
He had the fight with Kovalev. He knocked out Kovalev really early. I think Kovalev made some mistakes getting up before 8. I think that's one mistake he made. I don't think Kovalev has been knocked down that bad ever.
It was three times in that round, I believe. 3 times in the 8th round.
Yeah, that's what it was. But when you get knocked down as a fighter, at least in fights I've seen in the past, you stay down and you stay on your knee until that ref gives you 8 and then you stand up. But with Kovalev, he was getting up at 3 and 4 and he needed to catch his breath and stay down. Yeah. Alvarez knocked him out that fight, and in the rematch, Kovalev got his revenge. Eleider Alvarez still has foot speed, hand speed. He's a young guy. He can be at the top of this list one day. It's not too early, but as for now, I have him at number 5.
Well, shockingly, I have Eleider Alvarez as well. I was going to say I have Alvarez, but it's not Canelo Alvarez. And just to point out, I don't have Andre Ward on my list either, and I avoided Canelo Alvarez because he only had one fight up here against a Kovalev without a heartbeat. So I don't consider him a light heavyweight when you just have one fight up here, even though he's on a lot of the rankings.
And that fight was a catchweight fight. It wasn't even a real light heavyweight fight. You're fighting a catchweight. That doesn't count. So stop, Canelo. Stop.
Hey, we follow you now on Twitter. You were one of our champions. Just please stop. Just stop the catchweight stuff, please. But I have the same thing. And the same thing I agree with you on the Kovalev fights. He came into that first Kovalev fight as an underdog, and he gassed. Kovalev was gassed in that 7th round. He couldn't stand up. He was out of energy. You could tell. And he blamed it on overtraining and stuff like that. And whatever, you got knocked down and you got knocked out. And you're right. He should have tried to catch his breath, and his pride got the best of him, and he kept getting up and he got knocked out. I mean, that's what happens. And Alvarez's foot speed was very prominent in that fight too. He could step side to side. He's very good at slipping the power of Kovalev. He also has a nice win over Pascal too. I mean, Pascal's a nice fighter, decent fighter. Not in my top 5, spoiler alert, but he's a decent fighter. It's a good fight over him. Alvarez, great fighter. I like him at 5. He's a solid number 5 pick. We both have him at that same spot. Who you got for your number 4, Rich?
Number 4. just scratch the surface with him. But I have Sergey Kovalev at number 4. He is like the Manny Pacquiao of this division, where I think his best days are behind him. He still is a solid fighter at light heavyweight. He poses a threat and a challenge to anyone. I know they call the gatekeepers of these divisions. I think Kovalev's still above a gatekeeper, but you're not going anywhere unless you get past Kovalev. I don't think many fighters can get past Kovalev, but again, his best days are probably behind him. I don't know when boxing will resume again. I don't know if he has a fight scheduled, but he may don't be surprised if we never see him in the ring again. But for now, let's assume that he's going to be fighting at some point. I think he takes on all comers. I have him at number 4. I think it's a safe little spot for him to be.
He does have a fight schedule against Sullivan Barrera.
Mm.
It's at to be announced, obviously, with everything that's going on.
See, and Sullivan Barrera is no joke. So I believe Sullivan Barrera is like the gatekeeper of that division. So that's still a big fight for both guys. That should have been in the news. I did not know that fight was happening. That'll be a fight I will be watching. Boy, I can't wait for that. I think Kovalev wins. Don't get me wrong, but Barrera puts up a good fight every time he's out there. I don't know. He might be trained by Roy Jones, or Jones might have been in his corner at one point, but that's a good fight. That's breaking news. We need to hit the breaking news bell or something.
I
Not
don't
to
have a
interrupt.
breaking news button.
Go ahead with your number 4.
My number 4, I kind of went outside the box a little bit on my number 4. I got Marcus Brown at number 4. I like Marcus Brown a lot. If you watch that fight against Pascal, he had that fight won a bunch of times. He got bad luck that he got his only loss on his record because, it got stopped by a technical decision because he got knocked down a few times and he had a bad headbutt cut over his eye where they stopped the fight. But he had won, I believe, 5 out of the 7 rounds before they stopped that fight. I like him a lot. He's very strong, very young boxer. He's only 29 years old, and a lot of this division is guys in their mid 30s. He's got a lot of nice fights in front of him. He's got to fight the big fights. He's fight Badu Jack. He beat him. He beat Badu Jack, and he should have beat Pascal. I like Marcus Brown a lot. It's kind of it's a feeler bet out there. It's a futures bet kind of feel. I think he's a really solid fighter. I just like watching him fight.
Yeah, I think he was on the Olympic team with Errol Spence.
Yep.
And he is. I mean, yeah, he's a young dude. He's taking on big fights. I don't know if I'm his advisor if I put him in these big fights, but let him grow, let him learn the game a bit more. A loss is a loss. It's not a big deal. I think we're so enamored with this 49, 50-0 kind of deal thing. Losses are not a real thing. It only appears that they are.
Right, and I think he would have won that fight against Pascal too if it didn't get stopped with the headbutt. I mean,
I get it.
It was a nasty cut. I don't know if you saw that fight, but it was it was disappointing. Yeah, I believe he was a gold medalist too. Southpaw, as I said, really like him. Who you got your third?
I have Alexander Volzdik. Why do I have him there after taking a lot? Here's the deal with this guy. He's still being trained by one of the best trainers in boxing today. I believe Lomachenko's dad is somehow aligned with him.
I think you're right, yeah.
The Ukrainian. He's got the fast hand speed, fast feet. Beat the man who beat the man. I mean, the beat put on Adonis Stevenson. I mean, we can call it what it is. It was almost I don't want to go into attempted murder, but Adonis Stevenson is not ever going to recover. Volzdik is a very good fighter. I think he beats Marcus Brown and Kovalev and Alvarez. I think he beats guys right down that list, even the Badu Jacks of the world. And if James DeGale comes out of retirement, I think he beats all those guys. I just don't see him beating Beterbiev in a rematch if it ever happens. But right now, Alexander Volzdik is my number 3.
Well, you and me are on the same page here because I have Vosdick as my number 3 as well. He won his belts by knocking out Adonis Stevenson. That was a very impressive fight, and I like the heart in the kid. As we were talking about earlier, him and Beterbiev, I believe they were friends or they're in the same gym growing up or something like that. And they said, let's not dodge each other. Let's just fight and get it done with. And I like that kind of heart. And if you watch it, he had heart. He fought him hard that entire fight. A lot of them rounds were, very, very, very close. He landed a better percentage of punches, or he threw more punches. Or he threw a lot more punches. Didn't land as the Peter Betev had a lot better uh, hitting percentage, but it was a good fight, and it just looked like he ran out of gas a little bit. Maybe he was like, well, we know each other. What I'm trying to do, I'm going to try to play on your weaknesses and his perceived weaknesses. I got to knock him out early. It just looked like he ran out of gas. I'd love to see that fight again. It'd be a great fight. It was a great fight for Judge James, who chooses the fight of the week to watch, because I went back and watched that fight.
I wonder if Teddy Atlas was an appropriate corner man or trainer for this fight. I know Atlas had been retired for quite some time, and his kids talked him out of that retirement.
I asked you about that as I was watching that fight. I didn't realize that I forgot about that he was in the corner there. I was like, is this like a guest appearance, or what is he doing over there?
You wonder if it was the advice Teddy was giving Vosdick was not all the way there. You wonder if Vosdick wanted to fight his own battle and needed a different trainer. It was a very weird pairing. Nonetheless, the fight happened. It's all over. I don't know if Atlas will be back in his corner. We'll see. We'll see. But I don't think Atlas is done training after that. I think we'll see more of Teddy Atlas. I think we'll see more of Vosdick. I just don't know if we'll see the pair together anymore.
Maybe not. That was a very poorly refereed fight too. I mean, that was the first time I ever saw a commissioner jump up and yell at a referee and say that is not a knockdown in the first round. And that was after Teddy Atlas chased the referee halfway across the ring. Says, "What are you doing?" Tried to get his little fanfare in there, but I felt like it was very poorly refereed. The breaks were very poor. Some of them knockdowns I didn't feel were very good. In the last round, obviously, Vosdick his heart wasn't in it anymore. You could tell he was done with it.
He looked winded. He did.
He looked winded. He looked hurt. He got rocked earlier, but he still landed a few good shots on Beterbiev. One that stumbled the big man too. I mean, I believe it was in the 5th round. He got him with a left hook that really stunned Beterbiev and made him do that little hop step back. Where it looked like the knee was starting to give out. So, I mean, he's got a lot of talent. I think he's one of the best fighters in the division. And I'd probably have him higher if he didn't lose that fight. But, it's hard to rank a guy higher when he's coming off a loss to one of the best. But still, that loss is what I call a good loss. It's a good loss. He's only going to get better from it. And he's going to be around for a long time. I don't think he's that old. He's only 32. Looking it up now, he's only 32 years old. So, I mean, he's still got, 6-7 years of good fighting left in him, probably 10, 12 fights. So yeah, that's where I got my number 3. How about your number 2?
Number 2, I have Dimitri Bivol. I before I get carried away on Bivol here, I really think our lists are aligning perfectly. I for some reason I think you have Bivol number 2 as well. We'll find out, but I have Bivol number 2. The man has got some mean power. I think he's a smaller light heavyweight, but he carries a hard punch with him. I don't think he has – I'm going to get criticized for this, but I don't think he has the speed, or at least he doesn't display the speed he probably does have. He's a very come-forward fighter. I think he takes not a lot of abuse, but he takes abuse, and he shouldn't be putting himself in situations like that. I think he leaves himself vulnerable because he's got that hard chin and is waiting to get hit, so somebody else opens up and bang, hits you right in the chest or right in the liver, just something, and he will hurt you. His fights can end when you're trying to get up to go get a drink or something.
Yeah.
Stay seated until the round is over because you never know when he's gonna knock somebody out. I had Bivol at number 2, but again, he's one of them guys that he could be number 1 tomorrow. But right now, he is number 2.
I have the big Russian at number 2 as well, Bivol as well. Our lists are coming together. Great minds think alike, I think. Uh, yeah, he's exciting. He's a bigger Triple G style fighter where he takes that punch and comes in and will actually take a punch to lay a punch on you and make it hurt a lot more, you know. And that's fun to watch. And it's weird that we say that, you know, he's got 4 straight decisions, but before that he had, you know, I think it was 5 straight knockouts or 6 straight knockouts. But, you know, he was kind of stretching out the last few fights. He had fights against Joe Smith Jr. They're all unanimous decisions. Basically, he was winning pretty much every round. Very, very fun fighter to watch. Beat Pascal again too. Pascal keeps coming up in these lists of mine on it anyway. Yeah, he's a he's a great fighter. I have it at number 2 as well. Very interested to see him fight. Maybe a better BF fight on the horizon, but I don't know. Well, I feel like our list might be aligned. I don't know for sure. I'm about 99% sure that we're going to have another champion, a BAB champion.
Should we just toast to another champion here? Because
Well,
my
number 1 is
Artur Beterbiev.
That is my number 1 as well. Hey, we have a brand new champion. Congratulations, Artur Beterbiev. You have just won the most prestigious title of your career, the BAB Light Heavyweight title. Congratulations. We will now follow you on our Twitter page. Congratulations on that. Talk a little bit about Artur Beterbiev, Filthy Rich.
So I feel this Artur Beterbiev is probably the biggest gap we've had between 1 and 2. I don't think it's close. I think he and Bivol in a ring, I think Beterbiev just beats Bivol. And for a few things I mentioned about Bivol. One, Bivol just comes forward. He doesn't display any speed. He may have it. He doesn't display the speed. And Beterbiev comes forward too. He's not the most exciting fighter to watch, but just look at the guy. He's just built like a monster. You want him on your side at the bar. Trust me on that one. I think
like a guy that collects money for the mob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I also think Bivol, he's a smaller light heavyweight. The guy is willing. I think he's able to move down in weight to take a big fight against whoever's in his way. Beterbiev ain't losing no weight, man. He's just too big. If anything, he could be moving up. And it wouldn't surprise me if by the time boxing gets going again, he just moves up to cruiserweight and becomes our cruiserweight champion. Because right now that cruiserweight division isn't very deep either.
No.
But right now, Beterbiev is number 1, and it's really not close. What you got for me?
I'm the same way. He's just a mean looking fighter. I mean, he is. That right hand of his is just dominating. It hits you, it destroys. It's like, it reminds me of who am I thinking of? The Russian in Rocky IV. Everything he hits, he destroys. Ivan Drago. I mean, he's just mean. He is strong. I think Vazdik had the best shot to beat him. As I said, he rocked him a few times and has the best style to beat him. Didn't have he had the heart, but he didn't have the stamina to last getting hit that many times. And you know, it's not that he hits you so many times, it's just every time he hits you it hurts. He laid a body shot on Vazdik that, I think he was peeing blood for about a month and a half after that one. You know, you saw him step back and go, ooh. And I don't think he never recovered from it. I think it took all the wind out of his sails. And yeah, Bivol is an interesting fighter to watch, but I think you're right. There's just such a big gap between the two. I don't see Beterbiev getting knocked out by any of Bivol's shots. I mean, Bivol, he's got knockout power. He can knock out a lot of the people on our lists and, you know, in that division. Not Beterbiev. That guy is a beast. You know, it's too bad he doesn't get as much press as he does. I just found out about him Judge Jimmy James talked to me about him about a year ago, I want to say. He said, you got to watch this guy. He's fighting on ESPN tonight. And I couldn't remember which fight it was, but man, I was like, that guy is just mean. He doesn't have a weakness. I mean, he's not overly fast, but he's quick. He's quick
Right.
enough,
Again,
and
he's not an exciting fighter. He's not somebody I would say, hey, watch this guy because you'll be entertained. No, he's kind of the boring technician in the ring. But yeah, I'll let you continue. But about that power, man, I can't get over it.
no, he's like what Bobby Heenan would call a ham and egger. He's normal. He's not a normal guy, but he's like one of them hardworking. He looks like he was like a steel worker in Russia, and they brought him out to fight in the streets for fun, and they just put some gloves on him and made him go further up. He's a machine. He is fun to watch. He's fun to watch for fans of boxing that enjoy that style of boxing, that appreciate. He's more of the sweet science of he's not flashy. He's not going to dance around. He's just going to keep coming at you, and he's not going to stop. He keeps coming forward, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna get hit. When you get hit, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot, and you're not gonna want to get hit again. So, yeah, better Biev. Congratulations, BAB champion. I think that was a no-doubter coming in. I don't think that was going to be a big shock when we're talking about light heavyweights. This will be an interesting one to judge tomorrow here for Judge Jimmy James, since our list where 4 of them were the same. We only disagreed on the number 4, and I feel like we have a draw coming tomorrow. It's going to depend on what that number 4. I mean, he's probably going to like Kovalev over Brown, but I took a risk on Brown, just like you did. You took a risk last week with your boy.
Dennis Ugas.
Ugas, yeah.
That was not. I still stand by that.
I stand by it too. Ugas is a fun fighter.
We'll
like
see if
him.
this judge is worth anything when he judges next week or whenever the show airs. But he better have me winning this time.
I want to also point out to everybody too. We don't know exactly when we're going to release that show on a weekly basis. We started on Sundays. It may be a Friday show, the unanimous decision show I'm talking about. I haven't decided yet. I am having some dental surgery tomorrow, so I don't know if we're going to be able to film it. We usually film it on Thursdays. I don't know if we're going to be able to film it tomorrow. So we're going to discuss all that. We're also going to discuss some changes, maybe to this show, maybe to that show, maybe to a few other shows too here. We have to evolve. When you start a show, you evolve it and you make it better. And me and Filthy Rich have plenty of great ideas. That you've actually heard a few of them already on here tonight. So stay tuned for all those, and stay tuned for my awesome editing, which I've done, hopefully on this video as well. All right, that's our list, our Filthy 5 this week. Artur Beterbiev, congratulations, you are our BAB champion for the light heavyweights. All right, Richie, let's move on to the 13th round here. Let me hit the bell. 13th round is where we talk about things that are still in sports, but not necessarily boxing. This week we were talking about doing a whole bunch of different things, but then the rumor came out today that the Vikings might be trading for Odell Beckham Jr. And since we're both football fans, I'm a little bigger football fan than Richie is. But he still loves football and still knows his stuff.
I like football. Let's not go with love. I have loves. I like football.
I love football. I love boxing. But Odell Beckham Jr. to the Vikings. What do you think, Filthy Rich?
There is a lot to unwrap with this. I don't know if you'll agree with me or not. The first place my brain goes to is does it work in Minnesota? It doesn't. You want to know why it doesn't? Because Minnesota fans want Minnesota nice. And Odell Beckham is not going to work here, just like Jimmy Butler didn't work here for the Timberwolves. Odell wants to win, and he's going to say whatever he wants to say. And if you have a problem with that, lose without him. But he is not going to be losing here. Right. He also doesn't have a quarterback. Minnesota needs a quarterback. They signed this Kirk Cousins guy. I don't know if you saw what he said recently about how we're used to playing with no fans. I mean, that could be misconstrued in any direction. I find it comedy that he said that we are used to playing with no fans. You're right. You don't have any. They're all fair weather. But I will stop for now. I will let you get your thoughts on this Odell Beckham coming to Minnesota. But personally, I think it's exciting. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I got to be the Kirk Cousins defender. I actually do like Kirk Cousins. His numbers are there. I like his numbers. You just have to understand that he's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not the kind of guy
So he's
who
not a Super Bowl like he's never going to win a Super Bowl. He's not. I mean, those three Super Bowl guys you just named. He's not Ben
I did.
Roethlisberger. He's none of those guys.
I did.
Go ahead.
But he's consistent. He's not terrible. And you have to understand he put up very good stats in an offense that is just based on the run, basically. Mike Zimmer is old school. He's old school defense, old school offense. He loves to run the ball. He loves to run the ball nonstop, keep running the ball, and then it's set up on play action and stuff like that. The reason I don't like Odell Beckham. Okay, let me get this straight. I think Kirk Cousins, first off, is better than Eli Manning. Okay. I think, and that's where Beckham had his best years. Okay. I think Beckham in Cleveland is a terrible idea because that's one of the worst run organizations in the NFL. I mean, the inmates run the asylum there, basically. If you have any kind of behavioral problems, it's going to come out in Cleveland and they don't care. It's just, that's why they lose constantly. What I don't like about it is we just traded away Diggs. Okay, we traded away Diggs because he had an attitude problem. He wanted to leave. He sat out practices because he was sad he wasn't getting the ball. He was whining this and that. Kirk Cousins came out and said, "Yeah, I'm glad we got him a trade because that's what he wanted. But he's a great player. Yeah, you got a first round. You got a haul for him, which is great. But that doesn't mean you have to jump right in and get the same problem. You can't fix a cut by cutting it deeper. And that's basically what Odell Beckham is. It seems like a desperate move, just like when we got Randy Moss from the Patriots all them years back when Favre was struggling. You can't bring in the locker room cancer and expect everything to be healthy. And you can't expect to change a guy that's been around that long with that kind of history. Does he have talent? Oh, yeah. Would it be fun to watch? Oh, yeah. It'd be great, But the second that he has that three catch game for 34 yards because we decided to run the ball 35 times, or the one there Thielen gets 12 targets to his 4, just because Odell was double covered the entire time, and we're going to see that blow up on the sideline, and we think we're going to fix the guy. It's not worth it. We already got a stud receiver in Thielen. Thielen's showing that he can do it without Diggs too. I mean, the guy gets open, the guy makes circus catches. That's not the problem with the Vikings. And the other thing, if you get Beckham too, you got to pay him, and we have a salary cap problem. So I mean, we got to pay this guy, and we have lots of other issues. We don't have any cornerbacks anymore. Our offensive line is you and me could be playing for him on offensive line. I mean, it's just not good, and there's too many bigger holes to fill, in my opinion, than to bring in a star receiver, which I'm sorry, we don't really need. And I always felt, I'm going to get crucified for this one, but that Diggs is overrated. I always felt Diggs was an overrated player. He's kind of one-trick pony. He runs the slant and he runs the go, but I don't think he does well in Buffalo this year. I'll tell you that. I think it's worse for him in Buffalo. For all you fantasy guys, I don't touch Diggs with a 20-foot pole. I mean, I don't want anything to do with that. And I think you're going to see the same kind of blow up there in Buffalo. I think a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. I think probably some team or some guy threw that out there to bring the market up on Odell. Like, oh, whoa, the Vikings are going to get him for a second and a fourth. I mean, let's call and get a better offer. And even Odell came out today and he said, I think I'm getting traded, but I don't think it's to the Vikings. So I don't think it's a fit for the Vikings. They need a lot more things than that. A new toy there doesn't do them any good. It's not going to put them over the top. What's going to put them over the top is saving money, building that defense, building an offensive line. And hey, the division's down. Rodgers is 105 years old. They're going to probably be drafting his replacement this year. Just stick with what you do. Run the ball. Win the games 20 to 14. Better BF style. Just just dig it out. Play that ugly game. Control the clock. You don't need that kind of headache here. Will it be fun? Yeah. But again, will it win us a title? No, not worth it. That's the way I look at it anyway. Any other comments on that?
Well, I think having Odell Beckham here, I'm not saying it would work, but that puts them at the top for the favorites to win it all. I just don't think they have the quarterback to get it done. Talk about all the problems they have on the secondary. It's like you said, this is a tight salary cap league, and your quarterback, who is a game manager at best, is taking a chunk of that money that can be spread out elsewhere. They were better off taking not get rid of Kirk Cousins, but he needs to restructure that contract to make room. This is why Brady was great. It's because Brady was never the highest paid. He never deserved to be, but he was never the highest paid guy, and it was so they can make room for a top 5, top 10 defense every single year. I still think the Vikings, I can always count the Vikings out, but the truth is they are solid every year. They're always going to be contenders for the playoffs. Once the playoffs hit, really anything can happen. I think this Viking franchise would be better with Odell Beckham than without him, but Kirk Cousins is the guy who's going to make or break anything in this franchise.
Well, hey, you're going to try to get me high with that Tom Brady comment. I saw he slid that in there. He shouldn't have been, I think he's the GOAT, and obviously, he shouldn't have been paid. Yeah, well, he was always in the 20s of paid quarterbacks, and that, first off, he was already rich. He was married to a billionaire anyway. And,
doesn't matter.
But he wanted to win. Winning was most important to him, so he always took the low salary, and that was the Patriots' way. And that's why the Patriots are good for so long, because every team has to invest so much money in their quarterback that
Kirk Cousins
the Patriots
does
didn't have
not
to
want
do
to
that.
win.
What's that?
Kirk Cousins doesn't want to win.
Well, I think he wants to win. I don't know. If you think he's that bad, maybe since Bill O'Brien up there is such an idiot, maybe you make a few calls up there and see if you can get Deshaun Watson out of him.
He's a game manager.
Get Deshaun Watson then. Well,
game managers can get it done. He's
just
taking up too much money. You don't pay a game manager that kind of money.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. All right, that's our 13th round today. I think we touched on that one enough. I don't think Odell Beckham's coming to the Vikings anyway, but it's a fun thing to talk about, especially since the draft is next week, and you never know. It's always fun. There's always so many rumors get thrown out the week before the draft. It's fun to talk about. Fun to think what would my team look like with that player, with this player, And do I think it makes them better? I don't know. We'll see. It depends too. It's like he's the Antonio Brown. He's to a lesser extent. He's not as bad as Antonio Brown, but do you want that headache every week? I mean, do you want to have your guy having to force the ball to somebody just to keep him happy? I don't like that. I just, Thielen doesn't seem like that kind of guy to me. I mean, he complains a lot when he doesn't catch the ball to the referees, but he doesn't complain in the huddle. It doesn't look like ever, or to his quarterback. You never see him on the sideline screaming at Cousins like Diggs did. But anyway, let's move on to the Filthy Fan question of the week. Filthy Rich, our Filthy Fan question of the week comes from Max from Bloomington, and he wants to know, Filthy Rich, who is the best boxer fighting today?
Max, my man, I have many ways to answer this question, and I'm glad it's finally been asked. The first thought that comes to mind is the pound for pound list. If it were up to me and I had $50 left in my pocket and I can choose between a pay-per-view to watch this year, if pay-per-views are still a thing, my money is going to Vasyl Lomachenko. It is very simple. He is clearly the most bang for your buck. Back in the early 90s, there was a guy by the name of Roy Jones Jr. If anyone has heard of Roy Jones Jr., I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't put them in the same sentence. But
You're watching the wrong show if you haven't heard of Roy Jones Jr.
let me tell you, Lomachenko is the closest thing I've seen to Roy Jones Jr. out of anybody since those that historic '90s decade. So to answer your question, who is the best boxer fighting today? It is Vasyl Lomachenko. Go to BoxRec or something and look up all of his opponents and watch any one of those fights. And keep in mind, he is always taking on the biggest names he can find. When he signed with Bob Arum, uh, one of the stipulations was, I want a title shot my very first fight, my very first professional fight. Arum got him that in his second fight. The man, I believe, went, 400-0. In the amateurs, you have up to 400 fights before you have to turn pro. And I believe he went 400-0. He may have went 399-1, but regardless, he has destroyed everyone. It's not close. He was supposed to fight Nicholas Walters, the Axeman, guy from Jamaica, who had been ducked for a long time. He made Nicholas Walters quit. He made Guillermo Rigondeaux, a guy who won 2 gold medals in the history of boxing. I don't think has ever been done. I think Lomachenko may have had 2 gold medals. First time in boxing history where two-time gold medalists went in the ring together, and Lomachenko embarrassed him. The most bang for your buck. I can't wait to do a whole thing on Vasyl Lomachenko. But go look this guy up and tell me what you think. Thanks for the question, Max.
Yeah, I like to talk a little bit about him as well. He is so much fun to watch. Um, Lomachenko, if you never watched him fight, he is so much just fun to watch. If I said a couple, was it last week or 2 weeks? It was last week, that if you're introducing someone to boxing, show them Pacquiao. Well, 1 and 1A would be Lomachenko would also be to show him. He can punch at so many different angles. And I know what you're going to say when you look him up. If you never heard of him, you're going to say he's got a loss on his record. Well, his loss was to Salido, and it was a very controversial decision. I felt like Lomachenko won that fight. I don't know how you felt about that one, but in his second fight. But he's a fun fighter to watch. Hopefully we get the fight against Teofimo Lopez here with Lomachenko. Hopefully you get that worked out, because everyone seems to think that's going to be the big money fight that's going to be of the year. I still think the Triple G Canelo fight's probably going to be the biggest money fight of the year. But this one would be probably 1A, or it'd be close up to it. I think Lomachenko wins that fight. I don't know. Do you think he wins that fight against Teofimo Lopez?
I don't think it's close. I don't know why people are talking about this Lopez guy. Yeah, he's really good. But you know who else is really good? Rigondeaux and Mariaga and every guy you have put in front of Lomachenko.
Linares.
We all thought that these were, this is going to be the close one. This is going to be the one. And then Lomachenko goes out there and just embarrasses these people. That is nice that people think that this Teofimo Lopez is going to pose any kind of threat to Lomachenko. It's not going to be a threat. This is going to be one of them things where you get together with your buddies and go, hey, let's watch a beating.
Yeah.
Because it is coming and it's entertaining. The guy will wave his hands in the air for nothing and stick his tongue out and have some fun out there. This is not going to just be two technically sound boxers. No. Lomachenko knows how to move in that ring. He is like a magician out there. I kid you not. Even touching on the Salido fight, Salido came in fat overweight. He missed weight. It was not fair. He was low blowing Lomachenko. And by round 12, when it came to the decision, Lomachenko was winning this fight towards the end there. Unfortunately, he didn't win the early rounds. And this really introduced him to, it wasn't even boxing, it was fighting. Because Orlando Salido is a fighter. Sometimes when you're not going to win toe-to-toe in a boxing match, you pull out everything and you start fighting for your life. The move Golovkin made a mistake on against Canelo in that second fight. He should have been fighting. Skip the boxing for a little bit. Fight. And Lomachenko, he was young. He learned from that mistake. I think he knows now is the time to fight.
Right.
but he is the best technically sound boxer fighting today. It's not close. It really isn't.
One of the fun stats I have on him too is he had 4 fights in a row where his opponent quit in the corner. They're like, "No, I don't want no more." They did not come out of the corner. 4 fights in a row where a guy quits. Professional boxers quit, and good. Rigamado and Mariaga, they're not bad fighters. They're good fighters. Rigamado was undefeated at the time.
They are elite fighter. Good fighter is not elite. These guys were elite fighters. They were beating everyone. They were being ducked by everyone. Axeman hadn't been in a fight in a year because nobody wanted to fight him. Rigondeaux, you couldn't find an opponent for him, and he was like a 37-year-old Cuban. Nobody wanted to fight this guy. And Lomachenko went in there and embarrassed these guys. That's when he was like got the moniker No Maschenko. These guys were no mas. About the Roberto Duran, no mas. Yeah. This was a no mas thing.
A good fight to watch, though. I liked the way Linares fought him. Linares fought him tough. I mean, he got knocked out, but that was a great heart fight for Linares, where Linares losing, or there was 4 fights in a row where people were no mas quitting in the corner, and then Linares came in and he fought with all his heart in the world that fight.
But Linares was a bigger dude. Lomachenko moved up to fight him. Yeah. He cleaned out everybody at 130, I think it was, and went up to 135 to fight Linares because nobody wanted a piece of him. Yeah. So, he did get knocked down early in the fight, but went out there and handled business against a bigger dude. This guy's going to go down in history as one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Never forget that. You heard it here.
First ballot Hall of Famer. He should be anyway. I mean, he's number 1 pound for pound on a lot of lists, and he's number 1 pound for pound on my list. Spoiler alert when we go into that for pound list. But it's actually a nice little segue too, Rich, because next week we are going to go into that division and do the lightweights next week. So spoiler alert, probably on what we're talking about there. I think we may have another champion next week, just the way we both feel about it. But you never know. Something may happen between then, and we may change our mind. Probably not. But that's going to be a fun list to talk about again in lightweights. A lot of good lightweights in there. Just Lomachenko is so much better than.
Let me tell you, he's like Dylon. He could be all 5 positions. I really could do that with him. No joke.
It's not. Actually, that's not too far off. But there's still a lot of good lightweights, a lot of good undefeated lightweights still in that division. And as good as Lomachenko is, he is getting up there in age a little bit. I can't think of how old he is, but I actually probably have it right here. He's only 32, but I felt like, didn't he say he was thinking about retiring here soon, or had like only a couple fights left in him or something like that?
I mean, 400 amateur fights just because he only has 20 in professionals. His body is probably tired. I don't know. I don't speculate on retirement. His day will come. It comes to everyone.
Yeah. The Matrix. I love him. Hope that answers your question, Max. Again, send in your questions. Post it on our Twitter page, on the Raider Live page, on Facebook, or in the comments of this video below. And leave your question for Filthy Rich for our Filthy Fan Question of the Week. All right, Filthy Rich, that's all I got for this episode, our 4th episode in 1 month together. Always fun. We're going to have to if you haven't checked out our unanimous decision show, we're going to make it really tough on Judge Jimmy James this week since we agreed on most of the list here. We didn't talk to each other about our list at all. We don't talk to each other about our list till the show. And it's just funny that it comes off that 4 out of 5 we had. I thought light heavyweights might be a little different, but apparently not. Apparently not. So that's a month in. Thank you guys very much for watching the show. We have a great time doing this every week. And as I said, stay tuned. I'm not sure when exactly we're going to have this set date for the unanimous decision show. We also have some changes coming up here on some other shows. So tune into that show, tune into this show. Tune into trivia on Saturday night. Hopefully my mouth is healed up by then as I'm getting that tooth pulled tomorrow. This beer is probably going to be helping that.
Hope so.
All right, Filthy Rich, you got anything else?
We followed Karate Kid and Ralph Macchio and some other stuff last week. Follow Better Biev if he's available. Maybe even Odell if he signs. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll send a private message to all of them as we do every week and see if we can get one of them on the show. Shockingly enough, Canelo has not responded to our private message we sent him. I sent him one the other day. And he didn't respond. You'd think after winning the most prestigious title of his career that he didn't even have to pay any judges off on, that he would want to come on and interview. But
His loss.
yeah, we'd have to probably pay for a translator too. I don't think he speaks much English, does he? I know he knows no bueno. And I know Judge Jimmy James knows no bueno for tomorrow. So make sure you tune in to watch him drink that Tecate tomorrow. Have fun with that. Or not tomorrow, whenever it gets posted. Sometime this week. All right, Filthy Rich, I had a great time as always. I'm Raider Live for Filthy Rich. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.